to take a look at some of the different reports that can be pulled up from Rosemark. This will be done from the Reports menu on the main screen. All the reports in the Reports menu are reports for batch information, so about all the clients or caregivers kind of at the same time in the system, instead of just something for one individual. You can also pull up a report on an individual person if you start from that file, so that client or caregiver, and go to their file menu. You'll see some individual printouts there. Now, just to touch on what some of these do in here, I'm going to click on Service Planners first. And what Service Planners is for is a printout, kind of a week view of the schedule for a client. So kind of from the client perspective, showing the client who's coming by. Now, in a lot of these report screens, before I get started, I've got this selection window where I can choose a specific week I might want, either by using the selectors on the side or clicking on the calendar. I could also potentially click arbitrary range and select a range of time by clicking and dragging on the calendar. For now, I'm just going to look at this week. Now there's other things on here. It's going to tell me some stats about what's falling within the time period I selected, how many service planners it's going to generate, and the assigned and total hours. Now there's also the number of blank rows, so that's to give a space to write in. So if you're printing this out and you want to have a space to write some notes or some changes in before you come back into the system to make those changes, you'd want to include some blank rows. Also there's include all shifts, which includes shifts of statuses such as canceled or no-show, whereas if this is not checked, it's only going to show concrete shifts like actual assignments that are happening. Now, let's see, I just wanted to get the schedule, so I'm going to say uncheck include all shifts. I don't want to see cancellations. And also I'm going to set my blank rows to either 0 or just blank like this, so it doesn't include any. And then I'm just going to hit preview in Word to generate that report. This is going to come up here. I can see each of the clients in this demo database. I've got the name of the client there, some contact info, and the schedule, as well as laying out the shifts on the days, so what the time range is for each of those, giving me a row with the name of the caregiver that's actually going by, and hour totals over here on the side. So this is a batch report, so it's to save paper. It's just kind of compressing everybody on as many people as can fit per page for a hard copy. Now looking at some more reports on here, I've got the Open Shifts report next. If I go to Open Shifts, this is more of a functional report, so maybe if I'm trying to do scheduling, this is one way you can see what still might be open in a period of time. So when I select my range, I can see here I've got 28 open hours on 5 services. Now I could do preview in Word if I wanted a report of this, so I maybe want to bring this up in a meeting and say, why aren't these shifts assigned, or I need to see what's still there. But most likely someone would just be working with this, so when they're on this Open Shift screen and they've selected their date, they're just going to hit the shifts button to get those in a list. So now that these are here on a list, I can click on any one of these shifts and just go straight into the planner to work on getting these cases filled. Alright, looking back at reports, next I've got hours by service. This is a nice bird's eye view showing me, broken up by the individual service type, how many hours are on each of these client services. I can also see the assigned versus the total, so I can see if everything's been scheduled yet, including a grand total up at the top for all the clients. Now whenever I first pull this up, it's always going to be showing me the current month, but I can click this drop down to select any other range of time I might want. Additionally, if I double click on any of these services, that gives me a list of the shifts that are making up that total. Alright, now moving on, another nice printout is the client month calendars. Now this is a very popular one if you want to give these scheduled to the client or the client's family. It's very easy to read and understand. So this is going to lay it out like a wall calendar, so you just would select the month you wanted. So I've got some quick options for this month, last month, or you can just kind of click through to pick a specific month. You get the details of how many shifts are falling within that time frame. There's some extra stuff here. So there's show full weeks. What that's going to do is include, so like here, this the 1st of September is still technically in this week. So show full weeks means it's going to pull in days from other months so that you can see a full Monday through Sunday in this case. So that would include these ones from the month before. If I don't check full show weeks or show full weeks, it's just going to be right inside of the month of August. Also, we have an option here for duplex printing. If you have a duplex printer, that's a way you can print it out to be used in both sides. If you don't have that, yeah, just leave that disabled. I can say preview in Word to get an idea of what that looks like. And just ignore this no-name client here. Here's our first one, Paula Abner. I can see it's listing out the shifts on each day. Really easy to tell when someone's coming by. Now, not everything's scheduled in this case, so I see some that say open. But all the cases that are filled, I've got the name of the caregiver, first name and the last initial, and the service HM. Now that report also has a caregiver version. If I just go to caregiver month calendars, that's going to be the same thing except showing me the caregiver at the top of the calendar instead of the client, and it lists the different clients that a caregiver is going to work for. Alright, so going back into reports here, some of these reports I'm going to cover in other videos such as unbillable shifts and the billing and payroll. So the next thing I'd look at, there's caregiver planners. That's just a weekly view like the service planners, but from the caregiver's perspective, just like the caregiver month calendar we just looked at. Another functional report, kind of like the open shifts, would be unverified shifts. So if I'm about to do billing or payroll, I want to pull this up and select my payroll period. Let's say it's going to be 2 weeks. To make sure that all the shifts within that time frame are verified. I should see these matching up, because I don't want to run billing yet if I haven't had all the hours approved. If there was anything here, I could do preview in Word if I needed to print it out and bring it to somebody else, or just print it directly. Or I could hit unverified shifts to get the list of the shifts. In this case there isn't any, but I'd get that list of the unverified shifts so I could jump into the planner and work on getting those verified. Maybe they're missing telephony, or maybe if you're using paper timesheets, I need to go in and make sure those shifts were worked. Alright, going back to reports, kind of like the hours by service, there's hours by caregiver. This gives you a nice snapshot of how many hours your caregivers are working for a given month. You can sort it by the assigned hours column to have it either ascending or descending if you're just trying to see how much people are working. And like hours by service for the client, if I double click on the caregiver's name, I get a list of all the shifts that make that total. Alright, now going back here, there's also some web reports. These are covered in the video going over the web access. There's a web access reports and statistics as well. But it just gives you a quick way to jump into that. If I click on one of these, it's going to open already logged into the web app if I wanted to take a look at it. Now also, if you're using Home Care Pulse, you may have a Home Care Pulse option in here. This will be the downloaded pulled reports from Home Care Pulse that you could open from the Rosemark side as well, just by clicking on one of these to pull this up. Alright, and that's kind of covering the main general reports you're going to see in this reports menu. Once again, you might want to check out some of the other videos about the billing and payroll reports or unbillable shifts if you want to learn a little bit more about those in depth.